Jermaine opens up about the family's attempt to save his life through interventions, and he talked about whether or not the family feels they could have done more to save Michael's life. Take a look at this.
Some of the attempts of intervention, I wasn't there. I was out of the country, but I had heard about them, but Michael would never, ever, ever take his own life. And if Michael were sitting here right now and we were to say to him, Michael, you're not going to be here and your kids are going to be left fatherless, he would say, oh no, that would never happen.
Yeah, so I watched this and I'm thinking Michael's death has been ruled a homicide. Megan, do you find it odd that Jermaine feels that he still needs to fight any suggestions that Michael had something to do with his own death?
Well, I think perhaps Jermaine and LaToya Jackson also spoke out recently on London's GMTV. They're aware that so many people want to give their opinion about what happened. And I think the family feels a responsibility to talk out and to share the private side of Michael Jackson and his love for his children, AJ, which is what Jermaine just said. I think they feel that they need to honor Michael's memory for his kids.
No, they certainly do. And I think they're doing a good job of doing that. It's just there's so many elements of this story that they still have to weave through a year later. I do want to bring in CNN's Don Lemon. Don is out there in Hollywood today covering the anniversary of Michael's death. Now, Don, you got this terrific one-hour special investigation airing tomorrow night on CNN. It's called Michael Jackson, The Final Days. There have been so many revelations about Michael since he died a year ago. From your investigation for the special, Don, what was the most striking thing that you learned?
I think there were a couple of things. One, Jermaine Jackson conveyed that same sentiment that he shared with Larry in the interview with me, that he feels that other people were responsible for Michael Jackson's death. The other thing, and every family member I spoke to said the same thing, the other thing is the isolation that I really found striking, how Michael could just isolate himself. He had so many people around him and so much money. And the other thing, when we're talking about the legacy, AJ, of Michael Jackson, besides his music and being an entertainer, I think it's going to be the relationship between doctor and patient. And we're going to be looking at this so-called concierge doctor. It's a different thing when you or I or most people go to the doctor and we have to pay a $15 or $20 copay. But when you're paying someone $150 and upwards maybe a month to take care of you, then it starts to come into play that you are taking care of their livelihood, sending their kids to school, paying their mortgage, and paying for their car and what have you. And so the relationship becomes a little bit tenuous, and you have to investigate that. That's going to be the other legacy for Michael Jackson. That was striking to me.
Well, of course, Don, one of the most important relationships in Michael's life, that with his mother, and she claims that Michael actually feared that people were out to kill him. She tells NBC's Dateline this: he told me several times that he felt people wanted him gone, wanted him dead. He would always say that, and for him to say that, he must have known something. Isn't it remarkable, Don, that here we are a year later, there's still all of these conspiracy theories out there, and his mom even bringing one up?
Yeah, it is remarkable, and we've heard that from the family before. I think we heard that from Catherine Jackson and other family members shortly after the death. People still think that there was some sort of conspiracy around Elvis, so there's always going to be a conspiracy theory around someone, especially someone as famous as Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
But in my interviews with the family, the brothers did share that, and especially Jermaine. Jermaine said, there are people who are responsible for my brother's death. And I said, do you know who they are? And he said, yes, I do.
Wow. I
said, do you care to share it? He said, yes, I do. And you'll have to watch the documentary to find out what happens.
And we will be watching, Don, for sure. So, again, here we are. It's a year after the death of these two icons. But this year, you know, it also marks the 3-year anniversary of when we lost another icon, Anna Nicole Smith.